This resolution passed by 246 to 182. That's a wide, wide majority, and I don't believe that President Bush is going to see that as insignificant. I certainly hope that he understands when that much of the American public are standing up and begging him not to go forward with this escalation, that he'll hear that. I certainly hope he doesn't think that it's insignificant. The Senate's a different body. They operate under very different rules. I don't know why they didn't pass. 10 guys didn't show up. 10 senators didn't show up. So the House is able to work a little bit more flexibly, and we were able to bring, what was important too was we put together a resolution that was less than 100 words long. We support our troops, we do not support this escalation. So we didn't get caught up in a bunch of the nuances that could hold us up. We support our troops, we do not support this escalation. I am extremely concerned. We do not have military troop readiness levels. We don't have the men and women, we don't have equipment. Taking the very limited troop strength that we have and using it for an escalation that clearly doesn't look like it's going to be any different than the other times we've tried this is not only putting our troops in harm's way, but it's going to make our country even less secure than it was. And I cannot support this. So actually we are very committed to making sure, if we're asking our young men and women to go fight, make sure that they have everything that they need. Good Humvees, the ones with the V-shaped hulls, so that we do not have so many of our young men and women perish on the battlefield. It doesn't appear that there's any end in sight with this. Again, when I look at it for my children and what's going to keep my children and my family safe, this is about keeping our country safe. This troop escalation is not going to make our country safer. In fact, I think it's going to leave us with our strategic readiness levels at a very all-time low, and I cannot support that. There's nothing that's different in Iraq to make us believe that this escalation, unlike all the others that have been tried and failed, all of a sudden now is going to be successful. And the most troubling part is that we're going to be using pretty much our remaining troop strength. I had a chance to ask General Pace in a House Armed Services Committee, are you comfortable with the troop readiness level here in the continental United States? And I was surprised. He came back and said, no ma'am, I'm not. Why are we using up the rest of our precious troop strength for a military operation that most people don't believe is going to be any different than what we've already been trying? Moving the mission over to training instead of combat is going to be key. Starting the responsible redeployment of our troops out of Afghanistan and using diplomacy. I'd love to see a diplomatic surge, not a military surge. I think everyone agrees. The solution to this is not military, it's going to be diplomacy. And we still have not really begun to scratch the surface of the diplomacy that's going to be needed and a political solution that's going to be needed to start bringing some stability in Iraq. They've been asking me to reinstate some funds that were never, ever, ever there. I agree they should have been there in our budget. They were never passed. I can't just create funds out of nowhere. So I think people are beginning to understand that the real train wreck that's happened with the military construction that's needed over in Fort Riley started in the last Congress. And certainly I've been doing everything I possibly can to see if we can find those funds that were never allocated in the first place. And people are finally waking up and going, oh, this wasn't Nancy Boyda's problem. This was a problem created in the 109th Congress, the last Congress. And all she's trying to do is get out there and just find the money in some way so that we can get that done. I think we have a great opportunity to have the NBAF come either to Leavenworth County or to Riley County. Each one has a little bit of a different strength. Riley County is right there with so much bioresearch that's already going on. Fort Leavenworth is right there next to the fort, and that's a very important part too. So I'm going to be advocating with the rest of the Kansas team and the rest of the Kansas delegation to see if we can bring that here. It's a $500 million to the Kansas economy, but the thing that I'm most excited about is it can help give our Kansas kids another reason to stay in math and science when they're in 7th grade. We're losing too many scientists. We need a strong research community, and this will certainly, again, tell kids, stay in math and science. There's going to be good jobs for you here in Kansas.